I love writing stories. I love writing about adventures. I love creating new worlds which I have also not experienced and then experiencing them through my stories. So you could say I'm a sucker for adventure. And while I create that in my stories, I also buy adventures. My greatest indulgence or where my money goes or where most of my money goes is in buying adventures. I love traveling across the world. So if I'm not creating new worlds, I'm traveling in the world that I live in. So very recently, I went to Singapore. This was, I think, my umpteenth trip there. I loved that country. You must go to Singapore. From the time you land at the airport, by the way, it is so unique. It has an 8-story waterfall. So, when you land there, you don't want to go to the city because you want to sit at the airport first. It has an 8-story waterfall. There are these beautiful shops, and then when you finally are done and you get out, that city is to another level clean. I think they have handpicked the trees from out of a fantasy world or a fairy land. It is so, so beautiful. So this time again, so when I go to Singapore, every single time I go to Universal Studios. That's my favorite thing to do. In fact, I wait कि मुझे कोई बुलाए तो सही, to Singapore, and you will find me at Universal Studios. So I went this time again, and my team had come with me, and it was their first time, but I was more excited than them. So they told me, ma'am, you've already been here before, right? And I said, yes, but this is a new adventure. I was not 46 then. I was not in this frame of mind. I was not who I am. It's a new person who has come, and I am going to participate in this adventure from this position. You have to go to Universal Studios. It is so beautiful. It's made on movie themes. So as much as I'm a sucker for movies and adventure and visuals, and I'm making them, I also get a chance to participate in them. So the entire Universal Studios is broken up into movie sets, into movie themes. So my favorite theme part there is the Transformers. You have these characters moving around and you can click pictures with them, and you have to go on the roller coaster, a 3D roller coaster of the whole Transformers thingy. So you're in this ride and it is taking you. So there is this battle going on between Megatron and Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, and you're flying through the streets and you're falling off buildings and you're on this mission to save the planet. And it's so amazing. You are in the ride, and when you come out, you're like totally out of this world. You're overwhelmed and you say, what was that? I want to do this again. I have never gone to Universal Studios and done the Transformers ride once. I have always gone second time and third time and fourth time. And you know what? The queues are so long. So first of all, you pay $70 to get into Universal Studios per person. Now, if you wait in the queues the whole day, you'll be at Transformers only. So what we did was we got the Express Pass. Now, the Express Pass is $160 extra. So you can trust me to buy adventures and to get that Express Pass just so I can go to rides as many times I want in limited time. So we were bypassing all the lanes. It's quite a sorry place where you see such a long queue, people waiting for 40 minutes, and then you walking away, and getting onto the ride before them. And then my next favorite one is the Mummy. Okay, so the entire film set is made there. Apart from clicking pictures and apart from dancing around with the characters, again, you get onto a roller coaster of the Mummy. And did you know this one, takes you through these suspense twists and turns, and then it takes you on this escape ride in the dark. I tell you, this one is where you come back and say, I don't think I'm doing this again. And then you go back again. And they have these beautiful sets of Jurassic Park. I've been there once, but it's a little too, for kids, the rides are too slow. So after you go into Transformers and the Mummy, you find Jurassic Park too slow. And then we went to Madagascar. I tell you, it's the cutest set ever. And it is super, super fun. It's a nice, cute ride. You take a lot of pictures and, it's a whole laid back, you are into Madagascar and so on. So it's quite nice. I mean, it transports you into another world. And just like how my book I Will Go With You was made into the final call, and you see that transition from imagination to reality, this entire place was somebody's imagination before, all put together. And then we moved from Shrek, which is a 4D film, to the castles, to the frog prince sites. And I tell you, even one day is less to cover the entire Universal Studios, sitting in the rides and just having a blast. It's like, forget about who you are, where you come from, what you do. For some time, just participate in somebody's imagination. That participation will bring you to a realization that thoughts are things, that this thing that you are experiencing today and being magically transported into a world and washing away all negativity, being inspired and excited and coming back to face your world with new vigor, this was somebody's thought someday. Can you imagine that person's life, that person's work, that person's effort serves you today and brings you to a happy place of participation in fantasy? Who says it's fantasy? It's reality. Sometimes people say, oh, it's not real, it's not true. Seriously, I was there. It is as real as it gets. And what I came back was solid. And then the mother of it all was the Cyclone Rollercoaster. And let me tell you this, I've been to Singapore so many times, in Universal Studios so many times, but every time this cyclone is shut. For some reason or the other, it's never operational and I've never sat on it. And this time I did. You know what? It is a roller coaster that will remind you of your past life sins. It will all become very clear to you why you suffer. First of all, the seating has no ground on it. You're suspended in chairs, and then it takes you 360-degree around, on the left, on the right, gives you the badgering of a lifetime. You have an outer body experience, not just out of your body, but you're in the past and present, accumulating all your karma together and saying, please make this end. And when that ride ended, I was like, thank God, this was not working for so long. I came to Universal Studios so many times, but it was to die for. You have to do that once. Don't do it again, but at least do it once. And the best part was the water world. It is this whole set which is happening live. The actors are there live. It is so much fun. See for yourself. We went and sat on these front seats, and it very clearly says that if you sit here, you might get wet. And my team were like, ma'am, let's go and sit at the back. I said, why would I sit at the back? I want to get wet. They are already telling you so, let's participate in the experience. And this is this whole pirate setup. There are bombs going off, and there is this girl to be rescued, and these stunts are happening real time. That you understand that the movie that you see, that those stunts that you see, as much as there is computer graphics, there are also people behind it, and people who are passionate and love it. This was my umpteenth time there, and I tell you, I have seen these people put on an act as if it was the last performance of their life. It is so enthralling and engaging, and you can see them having fun. In every 10 seconds, you're awed. You don't know where to look. That guy is dying there, he's falling there, there's a bomb going off there. There's an aircraft suddenly emerging in, and you're like, where did that come from? There are gates shutting, there's a fire. And in that whole 20-minute overwhelm, you come back and you are like, oh my God, I wish I do something that can leave behind a story for generations, for people to come and enjoy and be transported into a world away from their realities and give them a glimpse into a beautiful future. Universal Studios is in my heart, and I tell you, if I go to Singapore again sometime soon, you can trust that I will go there. And hey, you have to go to this place, I think it's called the Marina Square. I'm very bad with with geography and locations and their names. So they have this whole fountain, water and light performance, in the fountains, they project these images, and the music is amazing. People come half an hour early and sit there and take a seat to watch that show. It's so beautifully orchestrated that it's like, Singapore's way of welcoming you and saying, come, participate in this beautiful, serene, creative space. And you can sit there and just be transported into a beautiful future. Sometimes the present becomes so overwhelming and monotonous that you need to pull out. You need to take that break to erase all the confusion and to write a new story. Singapore does that. And then the next day we went to the aquarium. I think Singapore has the most beautiful collection of fishes. I'm the kind of person who is like, hey, give them freedom, but then I also feel that if these fish weren't there, if they hadn't taken the initiative of getting a few of them in, we would have missed out on a very beautiful part of the world. Like how human beings go scuba diving sometimes and go in these little cages for explorations, and how they give the fish also that, okay, look at us and we are here. So it's just an exchange program, only that we're not leaving them back in the sea. So this is the animal lover in me talking. But anyways, these fish were so beautiful. And they have this whole setup of the aquarium, and there's a tube inside where you walk, and there are sharks above your head. And there was this really old fellow shark, would never shut his mouth, teeth perpetually open, welcome for any fish to enter. And then there were these sharks with their babies and flying over your heads, swimming over your heads. It was so nice. I think we stood there like for a very, very long time, making a connection with all the fish. And then there were these sea dragons. How beautiful is that, yeah? No dragons on land, but there are sea dragons. And then there were these blue frogs. I've heard of hotels called Blue Frogs, but this was the first time I saw a blue frog. Jellyfish, it was out of the world, and then they have this little rest area where you can just sit and you can watch the fish swim by. And I feel it's so important for us to make a connection beyond our own species. We take our life, we take our form, we take our universe for granted, not knowing that there are others in it as well. And when you do that, when you step out of your familiar zone, you are introduced to a new beautiful world. It opens your eyes. It's not childish. It's not that, hey, what are you going to an aquarium for? Look at the kind of life there. And when you stand there and you watch, you feel something. You feel a connection. I felt it, and I feel it every single time. And like I said, I'm an animal lover. I'm the first one for freedom, but this is special. You must go to the aquarium. It is life-changing. The entire experience, the connection, the time that you spend from one species to another species to another species tells you that I'm just one of them, and they have a right to live what could be their driving purpose. The aesthetics, the beauty, that whoever created it, my God, is a master, and I want to touch that. I want my creation to be such. So it's going to leave you with a new vigor every time it does that for me, and I wish that for you, and I wish that your work takes you places. You will forever hear me say this, that I wish that your work is such that it takes you across the world, and maybe after that across the universe. So do go to Singapore. It's a beautiful place. And do visit Universal Studios and the aquarium and watch the water and light show. It will rejuvenate your senses and your soul. So I'll bring you another adventure again of another trip. I'm going to Nepal. I went to Doha. I'm going to Frankfurt. I'm going to France again. I'm going to Greece. So I'm going to make all of these videos for you. And one day, come travel with me. So thank you for being connected with me. I really, really appreciate your love. So I'll be back again next video. Until then, let me tell you this once again, that I value your connection and I appreciate your love. Forever grateful. Bye-bye.